My name's Lena Brooks, and I've learned to keep my voice calm, even when the past tries to claw its way back through a buzzing phone screen. It's a Friday morning. My office overlooks the lake, the same one that used to chill my bones. Now it glitters like a polished mirror beneath the sun, framed by glass walls and a vase of white peonies on my desk. The phone buzzes again. Message from Claire. My brother's wife. Funny how two simple words can send a decade of buried memories flooding in. The splash, the laughter, the sting of being told I was too sensitive. I open the message. Hey Lena, hope you're doing well. We could really use your help. There's an issue with the business account. We're short $61,768. I know you're good with finances. Can you maybe move some things around for us? Move some things around. Like I'm still the girl who bends, fixes, smooths over everyone else's chaos. I set the phone down gently beside my coffee. The air smells faintly of cedar and espresso, my calm armor. Out the window, a family of ducks glides across the water. I remember sinking, cold and breathless, while laughter echoed from the shore. My pulse steadies. I pick up the phone again, type a short reply, and hit send. Sure, Claire. Let's meet. I'll take care of it. And I will. Just not the way she expects. It's strange how memories don't fade. They just wait. All it takes is one word, one message, and suddenly I'm 17 again, standing at the edge of Maplewood Lake, barefoot, wearing my brother's oversized sweatshirt because he dared me to. Come on, Lena, Ethan laughed, his voice carrying across the water. You're acting like it's the Arctic. It's summer. His friends chuckled behind him, that easy, confident laughter that made people follow him anywhere. He was the golden boy of our family. Straight-A student, quarterback, the one who could do no wrong.
Me?
I was the quiet one, the writer, the girl who cried too easily, who believed kindness was a language people understood. That day, I wanted to belong, to prove I wasn't just the fragile sister who needed saving. So I stepped closer to the dock. Fine, I said, trying to sound brave. Before I could even touch the water, Ethan's hands pressed hard against my shoulders, and suddenly, I was falling. The lake swallowed me whole. The world turned into muffled noise and cold panic. My lungs screamed. I surfaced gasping, hair plastered to my face, eyes burning from the sting. And then I heard it, his laughter. Sharp, cruel. Don't be so dramatic, Lena, he shouted. It's just water. Just water. Just humiliation. Just another reminder that my pain was a punchline. I stumbled out, shivering, my legs heavy with mud. Mom said I should lighten up. Dad told Ethan to apologize just to make peace.
Peace. Right.
That night, I sat on my bed, clutching the small silver locket my grandmother had given me before she passed. Inside was a note, barely legible in her handwriting. Water can drown you, or it can teach you to swim. You decide, sweetheart. I stared at it for a long time, listening to the sound of my brother laughing downstairs. Something broke quietly inside me that night, but something else began to form too. A decision. By sunrise, I'd packed a duffel bag, tucked the locket into my pocket, and left. No dramatic goodbyes. No tears. Just the steady rhythm of my boots against the pavement, walking toward a life no one believed I could build. I didn't know where I was going, only that I'd never let anyone laugh at my drowning again. Leaving home felt like stepping off a cliff. No plan, no safety net, just gravity and determination. The first few months were survival. I worked double shifts at a 24-hour diner in a town where no one knew my name. I smelled like coffee and fried eggs most nights, my hands always raw from scrubbing dishes. I'd sleep in a tiny studio apartment above a laundromat, the hum of dryers my lullaby. I'd stare at my reflection some nights, messy hair, tired eyes, and whisper, "Swim, Lena. Just swim." Then one night, a woman named Janet Myers came in. She was a regular, always in a crisp navy blazer, always kind. She noticed the stack of business textbooks on the counter I was trying to read between orders. "You studying finance?" she asked. "Trying to," I said. I want to understand how people build things, real things. Companies' futures. Janet smiled like she already knew something I didn't. I run a small consultancy, she said, handing me her card. Come by tomorrow. Let's see if you can help us out. That's how it started. I became Janet's assistant, then her analyst, then her partner in all but title. She was the first person who ever saw me not as fragile but focused. She taught me more than numbers. She taught me power. Money, she'd say, is just energy. Direct it wisely, and it'll multiply. Waste it and it'll drown you. Funny how that word always followed me, drown. The years blurred into motion. Late nights studying market trends, early mornings crafting proposals. I learned everything I could about digital startups, investments, and sustainable business. When Janet retired, she handed me the keys to her office and said, "You're the future, Lena. Make it count." So I did. I rebranded the firm as Brookline Strategies, a quiet nod to my last name and the stream that almost became my grave. At first, the work trickled in slowly. Then the dam broke. One viral campaign for a small eco-brand led to another, and soon I was managing portfolios worth millions. Still, I stayed quiet about it online. No flashy posts, no CEO in my bio. Just the occasional update. Doing well. Staying busy. Because part of me still heard that laughter, still remembered how it felt to be mocked for dreaming. Years passed. My world expanded. A downtown office, a cozy lakeside home, a small team who respected me not for my name, but for what I'd built. Every night, I'd light a candle by the window, the lake shimmering below, and touch my grandmother's locket. I'd whisper, "I'm swimming, Grandma. I really am." I didn't tell my family much. The last time I'd seen Ethan, he was bragging about some new business deal that everyone said was genius. I just smiled and said I was doing okay. But okay had become something extraordinary. And now, 10 years later, his wife's text had arrived, asking for $61,768. The number felt almost poetic. The universe, it seemed, had a wicked sense of timing. 2 days after Claire's message, I agreed to meet them at my office. I chose the one downtown, the one with floor-to-ceiling glass and the view that always reminded me why I left. The morning sunlight poured through the windows, brushing against the cream walls and the soft hum of instrumental jazz. I made sure everything looked effortlessly calm. The marble desk, the subtle scent of sandalwood, the framed photograph of Janet and me, smiling like we'd won the world. At 10:07 a.m., the elevator dinged. They stepped in together. Ethan, still with that careless grin that once made people believe he owned every room, and Claire, looking polished but nervous. "Wow," Ethan said, whistling under his breath. "This is some setup you've got, sis." I smiled faintly. It works for what I do. Claire clutched her purse tighter. "We really appreciate you seeing us, Lena. Things have been complicated." I gestured toward the chairs across from my desk. "Sit." They did. Ethan lounging back like he owned the place, Claire perched on the edge, fingers fidgeting. She started explaining how the business was in trouble, how the investors pulled out, how they just needed a short-term transfer of funds to cover the gap. Her voice trembled somewhere between shame and expectation. Ethan cut in, confident as ever. "It's just 61 grand, Lena. You've always been good with money. I figured you could shuffle things around. We'll pay you back once things stabilize." I folded my hands. $61,768. Claire blinked. Yeah, that's right." I nodded slowly, as if confirming something only I understood. Interesting number. I rose from my chair, walking toward the window. The lake shimmered in the distance, sunlight dancing on its surface. For a moment, I saw 17-year-old me again, soaked, shaking, humiliated, and then I saw her fade, replaced by the woman I'd become. "You know," I said softly, "I used to think drowning was the worst feeling in the world." They both looked up. But it's not. The worst feeling is realizing the people you trusted the most were the ones holding your head under. Ethan frowned. "Lena, what are you talking about? That was years ago. You can't seriously. Oh, I remember. I interrupted gently. You pushed me into that lake, Ethan. And when I couldn't breathe, you laughed. Don't be so dramatic, you said. Silence. Only the hum of the air conditioning between us. I was dramatic, I continued. Just not the way you meant. I turned that moment into the story of my life. I walked back to my desk, opened my laptop, and pulled up a financial dashboard. My company logo glowed across the screen. Brookline Strategies, Claire whispered. That's yours? I nodded. All mine. And you know what's funny? I redirected $61,768 this morning. Not to your account, but from it. Her face drained of color. What? What do you mean? I turned the screen toward them. You tried to reroute money from an old investment portfolio, one registered under my name years ago when I helped you set up your LLC. I caught it before it cleared. Ethan's jaw tightened. There must be some mistake. No mistake. I closed the laptop softly. I just decided to redirect what was already mine. Call it balance. Claire stammered. We didn't mean, we just. I know, I said. You didn't think I'd notice. You didn't think I'd be someone who noticed. The weight of silence filled the room again. Ethan couldn't meet my eyes now. I leaned back, calm as ever. So, now that we're clear about what's been redirected, what exactly do you need from me? They exchanged a helpless glance, the same look I once wore years ago, cold and dripping, begging to be seen. This time, I let them drown in their own discomfort. I let the silence stretch, not out of cruelty, but because silence had always been Ethan's favorite weapon. Now it was mine.
Claire was the first to speak.
Her voice cracked. Lena, please. We made mistakes. Ethan didn't mean. I raised a hand gently. I'm not here to punish you, Claire. I'm here to decide what's fair. Ethan's jaw tightened. You think taking 60 grand was fair? I looked him straight in the eye. I think surviving humiliation and turning it into an empire was more than fair. He looked away first. Always did when he couldn't win. I walked to the cabinet near my desk and took out a slim black folder. Inside were 2 documents. I placed them on the table in front of them. Here's how this goes, I said calmly. You're not getting a check. You're getting conditions. Claire frowned. Conditions? I nodded. Condition 1. Claire, you're going to use your marketing degree, the one you shelved to manage Ethan's business, and build your own brand. I'll fund the startup costs, but you'll work for it. Your name, your effort. No shortcuts. She blinked in disbelief. You'd help me do that? I don't hate you, I said. I hate what you allowed yourself to become. Her eyes filled, the kind of tears people cry when they realize someone still believes in them, even after everything. I turned to Ethan. Condition 2, you're going to step down from the company. Not permanently, just until you finish a 6-month leadership course and financial accountability training.
He scoffed.
You can't tell me what to do with my company. I smiled, slow and deliberate. Technically, I can. You remember that silent partnership agreement you signed 5 years ago? I bought out your other investors last year. You work for me now, Ethan. His expression froze, confusion flickering into something raw, shame. I'm not firing you, I continued softly. I'm giving you a chance to rebuild the right way. You've spent your whole life laughing at people's pain, mistaking cruelty for confidence. That stops here. He swallowed hard, his eyes glossy. Lena, I didn't know you were. No, I interrupted. You didn't care to know. Big difference. For a moment, the only sound was the quiet ticking of the clock behind me. Then I said, Condition 3, family therapy. All of us. Mom, Dad, you, me. Not for the past, for whatever's left of the future. Claire nodded instantly. Ethan hesitated, but finally he nodded too. I stood, walked to the window again, and looked out at the lake. The sunlight was softer now, glittering gently over the ripples. When you pushed me into that water, I said, not turning around, I decided I'd never need you to pull me out. But maybe we can learn how to swim together now, differently. When I turned back, Claire was crying quietly. Ethan just stared at me, The mask finally cracked. I didn't smile. I just breathed, steady, grounded, free. It's been 6 months since that meeting. The seasons have changed. The lake outside my window now glows gold under the autumn sun, rippling like silk. Ethan completed his leadership program. He's quieter now, humbler. Sometimes he sends me updates, short messages like, "We landed a new client today," or "I understand what accountability really means now." No apologies. No dramatics. Just effort. And maybe that's enough. Claire launched her brand, Clarity Home, Sustainable Home Goods. The irony of the name makes me smile every time I see her logo. She sends me photos of her workspace, candles, fabric swatches, her hair tied up in a messy bun. There's light in her again. Mom and Dad joined us for therapy, just like I asked. At first, Dad stayed silent, and Mom kept defending Ethan, but slowly, walls started to crack. There were tears. There were awkward silences. But there was also truth. Raw, unpolished truth. Sometimes healing doesn't roar. It whispers. As for me, I still run Brookline, but I've learned to slow down. I wake up before dawn, make coffee, and walk down to the dock barefoot. The same dock where everything began. The air is crisp, the lake perfectly still. I take out my grandmother's locket and trace its edge with my thumb. The silver has dulled with age, but inside, her words remain. Water can drown you, or it can teach you to swim. I whisper, smiling. You were right, Grandma. It taught me to swim. A light breeze brushes my hair, as if the universe nods back. Behind me, I hear footsteps, Ethan and Claire, coming down the path for our Sunday family brunch. For once, their laughter isn't sharp. It's softer, real. Ethan waves. You coming in, Lena? I turn toward them, sunlight warming my face. Yeah, I say, just needed a minute. I take one last look at the water. The ripples shimmer like tiny mirrors, reflecting not who I was, but who I became. The girl who once drowned in shame now stands on the shore of her own making, calm, composed, unshakable. As I walk back up the dock, the camera of memory pans wide. The lake behind me, the family ahead, and the woman in between them, finally whole. And if my story had a final voiceover, it would sound like this. He said I was being dramatic. He was right. I just didn't realize I'd turned my story into a masterpiece.